Good evening, and welcome to the Road to 40. I forgot that I had my microphone over near the little device, which was making that sound. This was on my crib when I was a little kid. A baby. That's one thing I will say. I'm very fortunate my mother kept as much as she did. A lot of things just got thrown away, like as you grow up and stuff like that, but my mother kept a lot of things from when I was young. 20 days, my friends. 20. 2 tens. I'm trying to teach Grayson some math, and so I thought, 2 tens. You know what? We live in a very small world. We all have our battle scars. We all have our battle scars. Last night's episode, we talked for a long time about the physical scars that I've had in my life. I guess it's kind of appropriate that we talk about the emotional and mental scars that I've also received in my life. I want to preempt this with something, though. I am not disappointed in any way. I have not allowed the physical, the mental, or the emotional scars to hold me back from being who I've always wanted to be. People do this. I know a lot of people who have done this in their lives that have allowed horrible things that happen to them. Don't get me wrong. I don't discount what happened to them as being, in any way positive. But the fact of the matter is everything that happens in your life molds you to who you're going to become. But you must choose which path to follow whenever you're faced with such circumstances. I know people that use the death of a parent to basically just say my life was terrible and that's why I ended up where I am today. That's bullshit. I am that person myself. I chose to, sure, I'm not the most successful person in the world, but it doesn't mean that I haven't tried. And it's not that I'm not happy. I'm very happy, and I tried my ass off. However, that's not the only, emotional and mental scars I've gone through that could have held me back from anything. I very easily could have been the crack addict that I was joking around about last night. I worked with, no, not hundreds, but dozens of friends at that place. I worked with my mother at that place. When the car wasn't working, we walked to work. But my life could have ended up in a much darker place had I let it. But I didn't. That's what really pisses me off about people who make up excuses for why their life isn't where it should be. Now, my life isn't 100% where it should be. I'm married and I have children. That's one dream that I always wanted. I wanted a family, and I wanted, the American dream with a white picket fence and everything. Mind you, I don't give a shit about that anymore. I'm just happy with the family I have. I have the coolest kids and the coolest wife I could have ever hoped for. But my life took some dark turns throughout its existence. Let's go with this. You guys know my dad died when I was 7. Now, that in a certain regard is a very good thing. He was a Baptist minister. I would not have become the person I did if he had survived. I've said this before on the show, and I'll say it again, and I'll say it to people for the rest of my life. If he hadn't died, I would not be the person I am today, and I absolutely love where I'm today, for the most part. I'd like to have more money. Not that I want more money. I could give a shit about money. I just wish I could afford the luxuries for my children that my mother was afforded to me. Is that phrased right? I don't know. Anywho, so after that, I remember the night, and I've told you guys this story, I think, before, but my mother came into the bedroom. I swear it was in Taunton. She says it was in Mendon. And said, Jay, now we're talking, this is late at night. I just talked to my dad earlier in the night on the phone. And she said, remember that place, Heaven, that Dad told you about? And I was like, yeah. She was like, well, he had to go there. And, it was obviously hard hearing something like that, knowing that I'd never hold my father's hand again, or work with him while he's in the cellar building me a bunk bed, or just sit in his office while he's working on a sermon or something like that. Those are the bad things. As little as I remember about my father, I do remember enjoying being in his presence a lot. I knew that was all over at that point. And that was a huge blow to any kid at 7 years old. I mean, I think about Grayson. Grayson's 7 right now. When Gwen turned 7, I remember those years very well. I remember 7 years old, and that's why 7 stars. Those are 7 years that I spent with my father before he passed away, which is fine. Like, I'm not distraught. I'm not even brokenhearted completely about it either. Would I like to know more about him, or have known more about him, or got to like hang out with him now? Sure, that would have been freaking awesome. But hey, you have to play with the cards you're dealt in life. Some people, wake up with a silver spoon in their mouth. They have all the money in the world, but they're less happy than somebody who has nothing. You can't judge people for being rich. I know sometimes I knock the 1% or the 2% or whatever it is, and I shit all over them, but that doesn't mean that they're happy. It's unfortunate. It's the one you can. There's a person who is evil, and there's a person who is generally good. Now, wealth does not determine that. You could be the richest person in the world and be the best person in the world. Or you could be the richest person in the world and you could be a dickhead. And that seems to be the general consensus. So I could use that as an excuse. I could say, my life was so bad, I'm in utter turmoil, but I didn't. You know what I mean? Like, I moved forward. At 7, that's a tough decision to make for yourself. And of course I dwelt on it for years. But, I mean, part of it always left a scar with me that I don't regret. Like, I had a very hard time associating with people or developing relationships with people immediately afterwards. I cling to people. To this day, I cling to... If you've become a close friend of mine, I hope you don't mind that I'm as clingy as I am, because my heart rings true for true connections like that in my life. I'm going to have to go let the dog in. Hang on just a second. Let's just say that my hair is shiny clean. No, it's not greasy. It's just so clean it's shiny. It's just one of those days, man. I know we were in deep on a conversation about, not allowing the shit hurdles in life to stop you. That's really nice. Copywritten. 12/10/2015 at 8:18 p.m. But when I start going down that path, I just, man, I'm past that. I'm who I am now. I'm well beyond 7 years old. I'm 32, almost 34 years beyond. 33 years beyond that. This shit. I mean, the next person in my life, my uncle died. My grandmother died. Me and my grandmother were tight as motherfuckers. Me and my uncle used to do everything together. I've told you all the stories about Mrs. Plummer and hanging out with my grandmother and my uncle and stuff. So, I mean, there's a million excuses I could use to give up. You know what I mean? If I wanted to give up tomorrow, I could be like, you know what? It all just added up and became too much. For the last 7 years, well, I've talked about the video that's never been seen entitled Sad. Well, I mean, over, the last 7 years, I've gone through 2 things with my kids, like being born, that were terrifying and, like, broke a mortal soul. You know what I mean? I'm not who I was 7 years ago, but I've become better, finally. For a long time, I was just in a dark place, and now I'm out of that. And once again, it's just like the experiences that you've had as a younger child that could have scarred you or allowed you to use those situations as a crutch your whole life. Sometimes it takes a while. Sometimes it takes a few years to get through this. Sometimes it's 7 years. But I finally feel like, I feel like I can stand on the edge of a cliff. And sure, I'd be terrified. But you know what? It's breaking down that fear that matters the most. It's made me who I am now. And it's tough, but this last road to 40, this last stretch of the road, or at least the last year, has enlightened me in so many ways. Just opening my eyes to doing these every night. I mean, I didn't even have an outro. All of a sudden, one day, I was just like, you know what? I need to leave everybody with a good message. And so I started adding these things, like things that I feel like in my heart I want to share with the people who watch these. And that's why at the end of the night, if you want to cut out early, I totally get it. But I feel like I have to say the things that I say at the end of the video in hopes that if it's the first video that somebody watches of mine, they understand that it's okay. There's other people out there who want to make the world a better place and stuff like that. So I know it gets kind of boring after a while, and I'll probably strip it away at some point and just put it on a shirt, or maybe put it on the front page of a website or something like that. I never did a Road to 40 Facebook. I always thought about doing it, but I figure we're all friends on Facebook anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I don't know. Anywho, don't let your past dictate who you become. Don't let your history fully envelop and follow you the rest of your days. Break out, break beyond it. Even, leave parts behind that you don't like. Live your life the way you want to live it. You know what I mean? Be happy with yourself and where you are and who you're with and your surroundings. Because if you're not, you're wasting your life, man. Every second of it. Like, just find your happy and do what it takes to find it. Anywho, thank you guys for always coming back. It means the world to me. It really does. I'm going to post something over on the End of the Road party. I keep forgetting to. I don't want to make it seem like I'm like, hey, guys. I just want to, like, confirm who's definitely going to be here, who's not going to be here. I know there's a lot of maybes. And a lot of those maybes are out of state. I think there's something going on. I'm calling you out, bitches. That's right. I think there's going to be more people here than I expect. I think there's going to be a good turnout to this road. And if I'm wrong, hey, I'll move on. But I've got a strong feeling there's deception and lies all around me. My wife is telling me, don't check my email, don't check my Facebook. Either that or she's just cheating on me and she's going to leave me. I'm sure that's not it. That's how confident I can say that. I'm 100% sure. I'm not worried about that. I mean, look at this. For God's sake. If you're loving watching this as much as I'm loving being this, please subscribe, like, and comment. Give me something to talk about. And then, when you're done doing that, go out to the internet, share this motherfucker with everyone you know. Then, share it with the people in your life who you think might like watching it. It'd be great to have be this. It'd be nice to do this. Like, it'd be great to have, like, a live feed. Maybe not 24/7, but a good portion of the day. And get paid for it. Maybe that's what I gotta do. I'll work something out. Follow me on the social media. It's always at GEYCEN. Don't forget to make someone smile tomorrow. Make a complete stranger laugh. To make someone laugh is even better than smiling, because you get to smile along with it. And, laughter is fucking infectious, man. Get a good laugh going in a crowd, and it just grows and grows. It's a beautiful thing. Make yourself a better person tomorrow than you were today. And by that, I mean spend some time with yourself. Learn something new that you've always wanted to read about or watch up on. Improve the skills that you love the most in your life. The things you love to do. If you draw a little bit more tomorrow. You know what I mean? If you love swimming, find a way to swim tomorrow. Might be a little cold. Let's make the world spin a little bit happier together. That's what I'm talking about. Let's sing and dance in the rain as one, my brothers and my sisters. Live life to the fullest and love every single goddamn minute of it, because you just never know when the last moment's going to come. A plane could have fallen right there before I said that. You guys would never see this video. That's all I'm saying. But remember, live in love, not in that fear. Don't dwell on that fear. I stopped about 4 times. I try to say 100 times a day, but 4 times today I became consciously aware of my existence, and I stopped. And I looked up at the buildings, and it reminded me of a song I wrote. I know this is going on for a while. I'm sorry. Did you ever think about those buildings and who was bundled up inside? Sometimes I feel like jumping out if I could read of how I died. That's from Radio Friendly. And I looked up at those buildings, and I thought about it for a moment. I'm like, that's what I've been talking about. I wrote that song over 10 years ago. But, I was in that moment. I looked up at the architecture in Lynchburg is pretty good. They've done a great job restoring it. There's a huge art movement here. It's not like Asheville, North Carolina, or some other places, but like it's moving and it's getting stronger and bigger, and it makes me go, maybe I don't need to go to California just yet. Let me throw this out here before I leave you, before I finally sign off. Carol and I are strongly considering moving back to Massachusetts. Yes, I said it. I'm letting the cat out of the bag. I would love... California's my first choice, but the more and more I look at rent, the more I look at the jobs out there. Carol can't make more than maybe $2 more than she makes here an hour. And cost of living is so much higher where we want to live in California that it makes it an impossibility, which is fucking sad and disgusting. Change the world. Do what you can to change the world, to make it a better place tomorrow. Before you leave this world, make your mark and make it better. Make it, when everybody hears your name, they go, he painted the sun and the sky for me. You know what I mean? Anywho, I'll talk about that tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, that will be the subject matter. All right? Take care of yourselves. Take care of one another, and take care of those around you who can't take care of themselves. I am Jason Oliveira. This is, of course, Dr. Carl Mitchin, and this is The Road to 40. I'll see you guys a little bit further on down the road. Have a great night.